I don't want to mess up anyone's eating. It looks like really good food. I'm taking that line from my man Doug Ireland. So at least that tradition will carry on. I'm Jason Pugh. I took over for Doug technically in May, then we roasted him in July. So he's eating. It's good to see him back from the Hall of Fame. He's been on every Hall of Fame trip except for basketball. We got to send him up to Western Mass at some point. This is 2019 Fall Sports Media Day. It means that athletic competition is right around the corner, academics as well. To kick off his 24th year? 24th. As the head man in charge, our Director of Athletics, Greg Burke.
Thank you, Jason. Doug, good to see you. Good to have you back, wherever you are. Is Doug in this room? There he is, hiding. Look, this is always an exciting time. And I know we got our faculty rep, Mr. Bisco here. Faculty starting to get geared up. They've got a lot of stuff coming up next week. And, of course, the teams in here have already been in preseason camp, coaches. But it's a great time to be on a college campus. I've literally worked on college campuses since I graduated from Mount Union up in Ohio in 1978. So coming on 41 years, something like that I worked on college campuses, and it's an extremely rewarding career and lifestyle and profession. Real excited about this athletic program. I know we're here to talk about fall sports, but I'm extremely excited about this athletic program on all levels. Very proud. We're going to be announcing some fantastic news that'll be released by the NCAA this fall regarding the academic profile of our athletic department and graduation rate. And I'll just give you a little bit of a hint. It'll be the best number that this athletic program has ever had. So that's a credit to the folks that have been here for a good while doing good things academically. Very, very proud. You know, like I said, I've been in college athletics for 40 years, so I've seen student athletes come and seen student athletes go. And every generation has their own their own character, their own style, but man, we are blessed to have this group. This group does so much for not just competitive stuff, but what they do in the community. I've already mentioned their academics. The president of our Student Athlete Advisory Committee, Megan Lowmiller, who is a senior and a member of our volleyball team. We were just talking. We've done so many good things. We completed almost 4,500 hours of community service last year. Y'all did that. You student athletes did that, almost 4,500 hours. That's a lot. And then on top of that, our coaches and staff added almost another 2,000. And that's very, very important for a lot of reasons. I think y'all know this in a town like Natchitoches. It's extremely important because people get to know who you are. And if they get to know who you are, they want to come and watch you. It's that simple. It's why you go watch your child. You guys that have had kids out here know this, and the rest of you are going to have kids, and you'll know this. You love to go watch your child and his or her friends, and that's what people in Natchitoches get excited about, is they get to see you out. Like we've got, as an example, we've got a Super One promo day coming up next week, and there'll be other opportunities for you athletes to interact with people in our community, and they're going to want to come and see you. You don't do it just for that. I mean, the main reason you do it is because you should. There's everything right about giving back to the community. So I don't see Chris Zirkle sitting at this table, so he's getting an IV. Okay, he probably wishes he was sitting at this table, but Chris is had some recognition that has placed him really in rare company on a national level. He's the only, we had one student athlete, male student athlete from the conference out of 2,500 guys chosen to go to Orlando to a leadership conference this past April, and that was Chris. He also is a finalist for the All-State Good Works team. He gets that recognition, but we could say that about a lot of you student athletes. So just really, really proud of how you guys carry yourself, how you represent yourself, your teammates in this university, in this community, in this fan base on a daily basis. Y'all do not take for granted how important that is. Win or lose, and granted, everybody in this room wants to win, but win or lose, how y'all as student athletes represent us is extremely meaningful. But then obviously competitively as well, I'm really excited. I think that our football program last year took a big step. I guess maybe there's some others around the Southland Conference that didn't think it was a very big step, and we'll leave it at that. And I'm sure Coach Laird may say a little bit more about that. Women's soccer team, I already talked to them, but it's a big step with 13 freshmen last year to go make the conference tournament, which was something that we hadn't done much of in recent years. And the volleyball team has just been very, very steady. I mean, they've been very, very competitive in our conference. We lost some very good seniors, but we've got some really good athletes sitting right here, and they've got some very good teammates. And I don't see any drop there. I only see continued success for them as well. So everybody's undefeated. The excitement is where it just ought to be right now. So looking forward to a great year. I'm looking forward to hearing what our coaches and our student athletes have to say today. So thanks, everybody, and Forkham Demons.
Thank you, Mr. Burke. Mr. Burke touched on it just a moment ago. In the first year of the Jess and Anna Job co-head coaching era, the Lady Demons soccer team advanced to the Southland Conference Tournament. So here to take a look at 2019, co-head coach Jess Job.
Thank you. Greg hit on it already, the excitement this time of year. There's a lot of excitement in our program, as I'm sure you're going to hear from other programs talking about with their expectations. The excitement's taking steps forward, and that's what it's all about for us. We are extremely excited to learn more about new players. We just like Greg mentioned, we had 13 freshmen last year. We have exactly 13 again this year. We are split 50-50 again this year. We had 13 newcomers and 13 freshmen. Or I'm sorry, 13 newcomers and 13 returners last year. This year we're at 14 and 14. So we have a lot of work to do to get everybody on the same page, but the excitement is there. We have already seen, in my opinion, a tremendous increase in competitive spirit. I think the last couple of days of practices already have been showed a great deal of competition and willingness to compete. That's something we want to learn more about. That's something we want to engage in on a regular basis, and that's going to be a big focus for us this preseason. And one of those things that we're working with is learning more about competition and what that means and defining that. So for us in this team, it's going to go back to the root of that word, the original meaning of that word, which is a strive together to make one another better, to challenge one another on an appropriate level that garners improvement, that pushes one another to improve and get better. And that's what we're after. We're not competing against our enemies. We are all on the same team, all in the same group, but it's important that we get after one another, that we be physical, and that we compete on a level that we're going to see every Friday and Sunday this year. So right now, that's where the focus is. As far as year two for us as a coaching staff and players, it's all about improvement. We took a huge step last year. We felt very proud about what we accomplished last year, but this year it's about stepping forward and continuing to take steps forward and continue to improve. And I don't mean the wins and losses. I mean the process, the little things, the intangibles. So nutrition, are we fueling our bodies? Are we recovering properly? Are we getting sleep? Do we have the discipline in those areas? And as a coaching staff, can we lean in a little bit? Can we improve our product, improve our student-athlete experience? Can we draw on the experience we had in our first year as first-year head coaches last year and continue to get better and continue to improve the experience that we are putting forward as coaching staff for our student-athletes to be in an environment that's going to allow them to have opportunities to be successful. Our players arrived, I think, from the get-go with the intensity and focus that we needed them to. So we've checked that first box. We're excited to continue to see them play tonight. We're going to get into 11v11, continue to compete. And really, that's all that we've been doing the last couple of days. And UALR on August 17th is our first competition, the exhibition game here in Natchitoches, and it really can't come quick enough. We're excited to see where we are. We're excited to get engaged. We know UALR is going to come ready. They're a good program. Won their conference last year, and they're going to have another good team this year that's going to come in and challenge us. So we want that game. We're not trying to push that off. We want that to be here quick. So we want to know where we are. And I think the girls want to kick around somebody else for a little bit because as a week goes on, we're competing hard against one another in practice. We're going to be really, really eager to get an opponent, a real opponent, someone other than ourselves on the field so we can really get a test. That's it. That's really all we are. That's where we are. I don't have much more to add. We're not trying to get a step ahead. We want to compete and establish that straight away. We do plan to be a little more attacking in our tactical approach this year, so we're excited to implement something a little bit different in our formation and system of play. We're not there just yet as far as practice in our phase of play, but we're going to get there very quickly. And as I mentioned already, we have a very short time to do so. So we're excited for the week ahead, and so far very pleased and very encouraged by what we've seen in the first 2 days.
All right, got a couple of questions for you, Coach.
First, you kind of touched on a little bit about making the tournament last year. Like, what's the impact of making the tournament last year and building on it going forward?
Yeah, it was a great experience. Tremendous experience, I think, for our returners to go through that. The most valuable thing for me was us realizing how difficult it is. It's a very difficult thing to do in our conference. We have a very, very competitive conference, top to bottom. Every team in our conference, I think we could look at and see that they're improving and they're moving forward. And we can't expect and take any game in our conference for granted. So the most valuable thing, I think, for us is going to be realizing that it's a very difficult thing to do and that we've got to take our preparation for conference play very seriously. We have a much tougher schedule this year, so we're excited about that. We're going to open up at the University of North Texas in Denton for the regular season opener and then go down to Waco and hit Baylor. So that opening weekend is going to be a tough test for us, but our non-conference play is going to prepare us for conference, so I think that's going to be very valuable.
Okay, and then you guys had a really young defense last year. This year, you return your goalkeeper, your three defenders, top two defensive midfielders. So how strong do you think the unit is going into camp?
Yeah, I think it's very strong. The experience that those freshmen got last year and our returners continue to get. Our back line was made up of 3 freshmen and a sophomore, so we were very young there in our defensive mid. Again, we may change a few things tactically. I'm not going to reveal all of that just yet, but we held with one holding midfielder last year, and she was also a sophomore, so we had no upperclassmen in our defensive unit other than Kayla Bombin, who's a returning goalkeeper, as a senior, who's going to speak here in a few minutes. But that experience, I think, is really important. But we've also seen some freshmen come in and I think make a strong case for themselves over the last couple of days. I've mentioned competition several times already, and I have a feeling I'm probably not going to be the only coach here today that mentions the value of competition. But I think that's one of the best things that our group of 28 players has is just the competition that's going to take place for spots. And I think pushing one another to be better is going to be a tremendous thing.
Okay, and then finally, you had veteran goal scorers who are gone. So, but you do have experience coming back in that area in Kylie Dominy and Jalen Donaldson. Who do you expect to take a step forward and into more of a scoring role?
Yeah, it's good news and bad news. Bad news is I can't answer that question because I have no idea. The good news is I can't answer that question because I have no idea. So we'll see what happens, but I think we've got a lot of new players who could come in and make a huge impact in that role. And we've got some returners, like you mentioned. We're going to look for some forward steps from players like Jalen Donaldson, who was a big part of things last year, and several others. So I think part of our tactical switch, I think we want to be attacking from the back as well, and we want to get more and more players going forward. And so I think there's very likely we could have a number of goal scorers. I think preferably we don't have anyone leading that way. We have a team who we get multiple contributors to goal scoring. But we're excited to see that battle play out this preseason and see who steps up a little bit.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So we have 2 players here today. Who's going first? So senior Kayla Bombin from Ontario, Canada. is going to go first, and then following her is going to be junior defender from Edmond, Oklahoma, Ashley Metawadage.
Hello.
Yeah, first question. How important is it for you as a goalie to have such an experienced defense returning back with Ashley coming back, and then Nicole and Katie as well?
I think it's extremely important, like for us as a back line, to know each other and trust each other. And like I'm so lucky to watch them grow as players and as people, and so I have all the confidence in the world in them. Going through a whole season with them, I think we found each other's strengths and weaknesses, and I know that they'll have my back, and I hope that they think the same for me. So.
And then you went through your first full season as a starter in 2018. So how much more comfortable are you? Do you feel in that position now?
I think one of the biggest strengths like a goalkeeper can have, being the last line of defense between the ball and the goal, is confidence. And it could be nerve-wracking and exhilarating and everything in between all at the same time. And so having those minutes behind me really gave me trust in myself, and I hope that I gain the trust of my teammates as well.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Ashley.
And then being such a young team last year and making it to the Southland tournament, how will you be able to build off that this upcoming season?
For us, it was really important for us to get that experience in the Southland Conference tournament. It was my first time going to the tournament as a sophomore, and it was all of the freshmen's first time, and it was the second time in the last 8 years that we've even made it to the tournament. So it was huge for us to do that. But it only motivates us to set even higher goals. We want to win the Southland Conference tournament, and we would really like to go to the NCAA tournament as well. There's a saying that I always talk about that says, if people don't laugh at your dreams, they're not big enough. So we're shooting high, and we're really excited about where we're going.
Now there are 14 newcomers this year. So how will you be able to incorporate so many new faces since literally half your team is new again?
We look really young on paper, but our 13 freshmen from last year a lot of them got really significant minutes and a lot of experience. So, for us, there's 28 of us, and we need the freshmen just as much as the freshmen need us, just like with every other sport. They're going to push us, we're going to push them, and we're going to integrate. We're already on our way there. A lot of us came early in the summer, and we got to just kind of get things going outside of soccer and on the field as well. So, we're going to integrate, and we're really excited about it. So.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Coach. Thank you, ladies. September 1st. So August 17th against Little Rock is an exhibition, and then September 1st against Louisiana Tech, 1 o'clock, the home opener, regular season home opener, Louisiana Tech. We all know how important it is to come out and support our teams against Louisiana Tech, so see you at the soccer complex at 1 o'clock September 1st. And August 17th if you're not helping people move in. We'll move from a relatively new coach to a pretty veteran coach now. Sean Kirikoff and the NSU volleyball team have made it to the Southland Conference Tournament 3 straight years. I think it's now time to retire the Scott Van Pelt jokes. So we'll bury that, but we'll talk about 2019 with head coach Sean Kirikoff.
Thank you. Really excited to go into my 5th season. Last season, we had a lot of excitement and a lot of high expectations because we were hosting the Southland Conference Tournament. And we had a great senior class that had done a lot for this program during the 4 years that they were here. But we're very fortunate to go in with the 3 players that we have here today because they were standing next to that great senior class for every single point that they've played since they got here as a freshman. And, we have other teams in the conference, the other top teams that are losing upwards to 80 to 70% of their offense. And we are losing just about 40%. So we're in a great position offensively, and we lose absolutely nothing from a standpoint of leadership and talent on the team. The only question mark we have going into this year from a roster standpoint is our right side, and it's a great position to be in because Daria Williams, a junior that is going to be stepping into that position, was already starting to do some great things out on the court, and right there in the midpoint of the conference season, she was just steps away from having, some breakout matches, and then an ankle injury kind of sidelined her for the rest of the year. But for that to be our one question mark on the roster, it's a great feeling because we know that she's going to step in there, and she's already proven that she can compete with the highest level of our conference. I think our preseason tournaments are really good for us. They're going to have a lot of teams that can push us and kind of show us where we're at, and then a big section of teams to where we can get on a roll going into the conference season. And I think we're going to be, sitting in a much better position going into the conference season this year than we have in the past. And that's just going to kind of set the tone for us going into the rest of the year. Any questions, Brad?
Yes, I do have a couple
Good.
questions, Coach. At this time last year, there was a lot of talk about high expectations, a lot of returning players, hosting the conference tournament, all that sort of stuff. A lot of different reasons why that didn't quite pan out like we had all hoped it would. So maybe talk about your expectations for this year and this team.
I think we're right up there in one of the top 3-4 teams in the conference, able to compete for a conference regular season championship and going into a tournament championship. I'm not going to hide from that fact, and that's because of what we have returning and what everybody else is losing. I think we're in one of the best positions of returning talent to be able to go out there and compete with anybody.
You talked a lot about your returning talent and returning players and that sort of stuff. This is the first year where the entire roster is 100%. You guys recruited, you guys signed, everything like that. So how's that, as you approach this season, is there any differences in that aspect of it?
Minor. One of the great things about this athletic department and this university is the family atmosphere. You can go up and down our roster and ask why they chose NSU, and that's one of the things that they're going to comment on is just that family feel. So even the girls on the team that I did not recruit but coached for their entire careers, it felt like family out there. And we're going to miss them. But now that we have a roster that's entirely our recruits, and so you develop those relationships through the recruiting process, and then you have them for all of their careers, it's just a little bit different. It's more immediate family, sisters, brothers, the type of family that you can't necessarily avoid or get away from sometimes, but you don't necessarily want to. So it's just a much more closer-knit situation.
So today is also report day for you guys. You haven't really gotten a chance to practice and all that sort of stuff yet. But as you go into that stuff starting tomorrow, what are your goals, I guess, for your first couple weeks as you get ready for Arkansas, and what are you hoping to see from them early on?
Well, I have a thought. I don't know if it's necessarily a philosophy, but a thought that if I have not said it this year, then they haven't heard it. So we touch on everything. And no matter how small, how big it is, and no matter how experienced they are, we're going to at least say it once. So I know that we're all on the same page, and we don't get into a couple matches into the season, and I say, what were you thinking? What were you doing? We know that going into it before we start playing. So we approach it that way. We think that no one is too good to not touch on fundamentals. But with this group, and in years past, I already know that we're going to fly through that. It's going to be something that we touch on. It's going to be something that we work on, but we're going to be moving on pretty quick and getting right into gameplay. And like Jess said, the competition is expected to be very high right from the beginning in the gym, and we're going to be ready to go that first weekend in Arkansas. And then we also have an exhibition match at Louisiana Monroe on Saturday the 24th.
Thanks a lot, Coach.
Thank you very much. So first, do we know who we have in order? We're going to have senior libero Megan Lowmiller. Right after her, we're going to have Hannah Brister, our junior outside, and then Alexis Warren, our senior outside. Megan?
Hello.
All right, Megan, senior year this year, so I know there's a lot of excitement for you personally. But for the past 3 years or so, you played alongside Channing. A lot of digs in her career and that sort of stuff. So talk about that experience from your perspective and maybe how it's prepared you for this year.
Yes, so I did play alongside Channing for my 3 years here, and she brought a consistency and composure to the court, and that is what I look up to her for doing, and I also am ready to do that as well, bring that consistency to the floor, and also I'm looking to bring more of an energy to the court and leadership.
Talking about leadership, libero is kind of one of the deeper positions on the team, so you got a junior, a sophomore, freshman right there behind you. So talk about how you're kind of taking that role as maybe kind of shepherding, players like Haley and Bryce and those through for the future.
Yes, so as I'm starting libero this year, it is new at Northwestern, but so physically it's new, but I think for a mental standpoint, I am maintaining my leadership and experience on the floor, and I do hope to give that to freshman Haley and sophomore Bryce, junior Charlie. So hopefully they can look to me for advice, just whatever they need. I am ready to give that to them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi.
All right, we got Hannah Brister here. Really strong back end of last year for you, 10 or more kills in the last 10 matches, all that sort of stuff. Maybe talk about, just looking at that, what was different maybe about those particular matches, and how are you going to try to translate that into the start of this year?
I guess the different thing about those matches was that I was actually moved to the outside, which is what I was recruited for. And so I was more in my element. The outsides get a lot more of the sets. So, I guess just bringing that into this year, it's going to be great.
So, I mean, you are the one now that I think most opponents are going to be like, we gotta circle her name. We gotta, make sure that we're trying to do our best to kind of stop you from scoring. So has that changed your perspective as you come into this year, knowing that you've had Reagan and those like that in the past, and now you're kind of the one they look to be the offensive force?
Yeah, so that doesn't really scare me. I'm just going to go in, working even harder, and keep my name circled on there. So.
All right, thank you.
Hello.
All right, Alexis Warren, senior, 4-year starter for the Lady Demons here. What is it about this team specifically that you think is unique, maybe from the last four years that you've been here?
I believe the bond and cohesiveness that we've grown through the spring and summer coming up early is completely different than what we've had before. I know we have a smaller team, but I just think the bond we all have together is a lot different.
Coach said in a lot of ways you're kind of the cornerstone of what happens when the team's on the floor, really in all aspects, offense, defense, blocking, all the things. So how does that make you feel when you hear something like that, and he has that sort of pressure, not pressure, but that role for you?
I feel it gives me confidence in myself, knowing that he sees that in me, but it provides, I like how it helps me provide leadership and just experience, not only in the front row but back row as well, for my position.
So senior year, what are you most looking forward to about this season?
Well, of course, a successful season, being my last year, but making many memories with my sisters that I've had the last 4 years. Not ever taking one moment for granted.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Everybody stop clapping while they were talking. Dr. Chris Maggio, our university president, walked in. Let's give him a round of applause. Not too many people in this university have worn as many hats, from student athlete to coach to first-year experience to now university president. So who knows, we may have a future university president sitting right here. He's not the president, and he's worn many hats here as well, but Brad Laird, the head football coach for the Demons, is up next. We're going to do things just a little bit differently in this because the guys have got to get out and get photos taken. So without further ado, easy for me to say, head coach Brad Laird.
Thank you, Jason. First, appreciate everybody being here. Just like it was said earlier, really excited about the 2019 season. Lucky for us, we're 7 practices in. This morning we had 7 practices and really looking for the rest of fall camp as we continue to prove each and every other day. But I tell you this, we're excited because, how we finished, first and foremost, winning 3 out of the last 4. And there's 21 seniors right here to my left that you can contribute to the what happened at the end of the year to where we are right now. And I'm going to let them speak in just a minute, but the expectations that we have are kind of different than the outside expectations. And what we talk about as a football team is the internal expectations, because at the end of the day, that's the only thing that matters. And that's the way we approach our day-to-day business, from meetings to practice to walkthroughs, whatever we're doing. And that's why we're excited, because whenever you go through and you look at rankings, all right, the thing that they don't see is what these guys have done since the end of the year last year. That's why I can stand up in front of you and with excitement and talk about this group, the 2019 season, because I've seen them grow, whether they're guys that have been here 1 year, 2 years, or now seniors. Okay, what they've done since January, are the guys that we've added in January, or the guys that we've added just in August to make this football team what it's going to be. I don't know if I've ever been as excited to watch a football team get ready to prepare and play for the 2019 season, simply because I've been able to see them day to day. Okay, I've seen them grow in situations where when people, you mark them there, I want them 1, I want them 2, don't see how they grow on a daily basis. Don't see what they go through daily. Don't see the adversity that they've been able to handle to get them in position to where they are today. And are we where we need to be? No. And I know one of the coaches talked about consistency. We're trying to put good days back to back, good plays back to back, as we continue to strive each and every day for that. But it starts with the 21 seniors that we have. 17 of the 21 have graduated or will graduate when they finish playing in December. 7 are going to step on the field against UT Martin with a degree in hand. And we talk, and so why am I excited? Because when you take care of your business off the field, you're going to take care of your business on the field. I'm a firm believer in that, in everything you do, okay, in everything you do. And you ask, oh, who are the 4 that did not? We got 1 that's in pre-physical therapy that has 138 hours that he's got to get instead of 120. Okay, we got 3 more that were junior college transfers that's only been in college 3 years. Okay, so this group takes care of their business on and off the field. That's what excites me. The consistency within our staff. This day and age in college football, you don't see a staff of full-time coaches that stay together. You see a lot of movement. Northwestern State football was lucky to have the consistency within the coaching staff. What does that mean? All right, just like the consistency with the players, coaches have to be consistent. Our guys, starting with me, are hearing the same thing over and over. They know what to expect. Position to position, offense, defensively, and special teams. They know what to expect. And so, we're excited. I'm going to let offensively and defensively them speak. But before that, I want to introduce the seniors. The ones that will not be speaking, I'm going to introduce you at this time. Akile Davis, a grad transfer receiver from BYU. Desmond Prejean. Parker Pastorello, punter. Tyler O'Donohue, tight end. Quinn Whitley, outside linebacker. Isaiah Armstrong, grad transfer from BYU. Deron Littleton, defensive back. Kevin Ratliff, defensive back. Ian Edwards, defensive back. Ronald Malborough, defensive back. Dylan Wilson, defensive back. Jonathan Hubbard, offensive lineman. All right, at this time, if I didn't call your name, will y'all please come up as I introduce you? Okay, at this time, I'll turn it over to inside linebacker, senior from Van, Texas, Bryce Borgeson.
Thank you, Coach. It's great to be back. I'm a fifth-year senior. I feel like this is the best offseason I've had, or the team has had since I've been here. I feel like from spring workouts to spring ball to summer workouts, being up here in the summer, I feel like that's flowed right into camp and the way we've been competing against each other. I know the offense is making the defense better every day. The defense is making the offense better every day. But I feel really good about the defense and the scheme Coach Lucas has brought to the table. I feel like we have a lot of talent coming back. We've added a lot of new talent, and I'm really excited we're going to get after some people this year.
Bryce, you guys have a new scheme defensively, especially with the linebackers. How do you think that's fit the personnel? And kind of touching on what Coach Laird said, the consistency of having Coach Lucas 2 years in a row as a position coach and a defensive coordinator, what's that do for you?
I think that brings a lot to the table. We didn't lose one linebacker last year, and we still added some more in the summer and the off season. So we're competing every day, and the defense as a whole is competing every day in the scheme. Like you said, like I've said, it's a great scheme, and we're ready to get going.
How's it going, y'all? I'm Dustin Burns from Beaumont, Texas.
Well, Dustin, kind of like Bryce said, you guys as the offensive line, you didn't lose a lot of guys. You got 4 seniors back. Just, if you would, what's the importance of having that, not just the experience, but the continuity between you guys when you look to work in year 2 of Brad Smiley's offensive system?
Yes, sir. So one thing that I'm also really excited about is not only having the 4 seniors back, but also having a lot of guys that are returning starters. And just having that group that's played together so many snaps and so many different games, and having that mental acuity and physical cohesiveness as a unit, being able to play as physical as we want to, I think that's a real big step in the right direction.
For those of you who don't know, Dustin showed up at Vic's Choice in a sport coat made out of the Texas flag.
That's correct.
His headshot was taken in something that looked like straight out of Christmas.
Yep.
How many different sport coats do you have, and are you the best dressed guy on the team?
Ooh, I don't know about best dress. That's Hub Hundun right there. You know what I'm saying? But I have a pretty wide variety of sports coats. Got to keep you guys guessing.
Dustin Burns.
Thank you.
How's it going? I'm Shelton Epler. I'm from Navasota, Texas, and I play quarterback.
Shelton, you guys, as quarterbacks, you're back working with Anthony Selfo again as your position coach. You've got Caleb Fletcher back. Bryce Rivers is here as well. For you, it's a little different. You're thrown to a bunch of new guys, and we can touch on that when Quan gets up a little bit. But for you, what's been the most important thing in terms of working the chemistry with those new guys in that room?
Just being a leader on the field. Obviously, it's just the next guy up. So if somebody goes down, the next person stands up and takes control, gets the position, works hard, and it's obviously going to work once we get that chemistry going.
For those who haven't seen practices, who's been someone on that group that's really stood out to you that you think you're developing that kind of chemistry with?
I felt the whole receiver staff, tight ends, running backs. We're all working hard every day, trying to get better. If we work on one thing every day and get better at that, then we're moving in the right step. So I think it's been going really well. I believe so. Going on the 4th year now, I think just certain stuff, I know what Coach Smiley likes to call, what he does not like to call, and we've sat down and talked about it. Like, I'm not a fan of a certain play, but we still call it here and there in practice. It gets under my skin, but just got to do it. Since he's the boss, we just got to do what he calls. I don't think there is one. Whatever he calls, I'm all in. So, but 2x2 Baylor. For those of y'all who don't know, it's a skinny post and a hitch, and I'm not a huge fan of that. Any more questions? I don't think it's a huge adjustment. It's just the tempo gets faster. There's obviously great guys at junior college that play and they go into the next level, but just the chemistry developing with the new team, just coming in with not knowing really anybody, just getting to know them, and so I think it's been going very well. Football's still football, so you still have to make the right plays at the right time. So I think it's been going very well.
Nicholas Ford, defensive back from DeSoto, Texas.
All right, Nick, you're part of another veteran group. Matter of fact, Ryan Reed's going to be up not long after you, but you guys in that defensive backfield been challenged a lot with the way the game has changed. A lot of teams go through the air a lot more. do you feel more comfortable run, pass, and how comfortable do you feel with all those guys around you having pretty much that whole group back?
I mean, I feel comfortable. I mean, regardless of what the offense does, run, pass, I feel like we've got great guys at every level of the defense. In the back end, we've got a bunch of seniors, juniors, a bunch of guys with experience. Same thing at linebacker, same thing at D-line. You got guys who played a lot of snaps, guys who understand what's necessary to be successful on defense. So I feel pretty comfortable in all types of offenses.
You lined up next to Hayden Bourgeois some last year, and he finished third in the country, forcing 7 turnovers, 5 interceptions, 2 fumbles. What's it like playing next to a guy like that, and, you know, in terms of a guy that's a ball hawk, and what does he do for that back line?
Man, it's great. Hayden, we got a bunch of guys who are just great guys who know how to make plays. And Hayden, that's a guy who's just going to go out there every day, work hard, and do exactly what it takes to be successful. So it's great having a guy like that because it motivates you to play at your best, and it shows all the younger guys what it takes to be that guy. If you want to be the guy to make plays, make turnovers, you got to come to work every day and work hard. What I'll tell freshman Nick Ford is just listen to your coaching staff, listen to the older guys, and trust the process. They understand what it takes. Like, they've been doing this for years. You may think that you know the best way to get things done, but you don't. Like, they're always going to lead you in the right direction. They're never going to try to do anything to hinder your success. So always listen to the older guys, always listen to the coaching staff, and trust the process.
I'm O'Shea Jackson from Arlington, Texas, defensive line.
O'Shea, you came in late last year to camp, right before the A&M game. How much has this summer, really the spring, summer, and so far a full camp benefited you?
It meant a lot to me because not only did I have to get myself ready for the season, I had to get my guys ready too. So a lot of preparation, lifting weights, running, all that. It'll get us ready for the season.
I know standing in front of a camera is not something you really like to do. You don't like to talk too much. Leadership, your coaches say you've grown in that. Did that come natural to you too, or is that something you had to work at?
I believe it's something I had to work at. Like you said, I don't like talking. I'd rather lead by example, and that's what I've been trying to do. What do you mean?
I mean, did you know I can contribute to this team in a significant way, and this is going well?
I mean, I knew once they put me on the field that I could contribute to the team. So,
I mean, from a standpoint of being a playmaker is what I'm talking about. I mean, you started making some plays, but I guess if you're a new player, you're trying to carve your identity and find your role.
I mean, I got to make a name for myself at the same time, so I got to make plays.
I think the OCs on the other team knew who you were pretty quick is what I'm getting to. It didn't take time. You're right.
You just got to put football behind it, and it'll pop right up. Nobody called me that, but as from old schools, they did call me Ice Cube. My teammates here call me O-Jack, so that's what I go for.
I'm Tyler Rapp from the Woodlands, Texas, and I play offensive line.
And you play all over the offensive line. You've got some versatility going there. Is there a position you feel most comfortable at? And, when you look at playing multiple positions, how does that affect your preparation?
I honestly will play wherever I'm needed, be a team guy. Wherever the team needs me, that's where I'm going to play. I'm comfortable at center. I'm comfortable at guard. That's what I played my whole career. And preparation-wise, knowing how to play each position actually helps you understand the game plan, better personnel, things like that. Understand blitz packages. You can see things a lot better when you're at the center, but it helps you out at the guard position as well. and I think that helps a lot of our guys out as well because we're very versatile as a unit.
Obviously, on the line, you line up shoulder to shoulder with a bunch of guys you're very familiar with. What's the camaraderie like in that offensive line room?
The camaraderie in the offensive line group, probably everywhere in the country, is the best camaraderie anywhere on a football team. We're a unit. We're brothers. We come to work every day, ready to work. No outside things are going to make any difference in what we do, because when we step into that room, we know I'm going to do everything I can for the guy next to me, and I wouldn't expect anything less from anybody else. No, sir, not a chance. This place is training camp anywhere is just as tough. Just happy to be here and thankful for the opportunity.
Tyler, you have been around these guys now for 3 years. What's the one thing that stands out to you about this football team as a whole that you've learned in the time you've been a Demon?
That's a great question. I've been here. This is going on my 3rd season. I've seen a lot of guys come through here, and I can honestly tell you that this is the most cohesive group that we've had come through this university since my time I've been here. I'm truly, truly excited to get out there and go to battle with my brothers. It's been an exciting summer, an exciting spring, and I'm so ready to go get on the field and light some people up. Thank you.
Ryan Reed, safety from St. Francisville, Louisiana.
Ryan, you've been here 5 years now.
Yes,
And
sir.
kind of the same question that Doug touched on. What's something you've taken away from the past 5 years and may make this season a little different?
Just our senior class. I think a lot of senior classes since I've been here have come and gone, a lot of players, but for the most part, the core of this group, we've been here since freshmen. I mean, we added great talent like Quan Shorts and new guys coming in, Shelton Epler. But I think for the most part, for the core of our senior class, we've been here from the beginning, and we've been at the lows and we've been at the highs, so we know what it takes to get there.
You also part of the kick return team there alongside Miles Ward, who was an honorable mention freshman All-American. Do you get to pick his brain? It's kind of odd. You'd be the older guy. You think maybe he'd pick yours. Do you guys get to talk about that, and do you take anything from him when you look to return a kick?
I mean, I'm just there for the blocker, lead him in the hole, and take the first guy who comes. But I just tell him to run as fast as he can.
You're the better quarterback, though, of the two.
Yes, sir.
So, Ryan, having that base of experience and having seen the highs and lows, what are the things it's going to take other than exemplary play to elevate this team to where you want it to go?
Just being consistent. I mean, you've seen great play on offensive side and defensive side and special teams. We just have to be consistent every day and bring, like Coach Laird said, good play after good play after good play, and just being consistent.
You guys were in a lot of close games last year. Why is that, and how does that help now?
There's different reasons, I think, for each game, but we just got to start fast. We try to say that in practice every day. We got to practice fast and just lead by example.
Anything Coach Black's taught you that you're going to hold on to the rest of your life?
Be nice to Coach Black. Thank you.
I'm Quan Shorts from Houston, Texas, and I play receiver here at Northwestern State.
Quan, kind of similar to O'Shea coming in last year. I mean, you had a little bit more time, but how quickly do you feel you acclimated, and how welcoming was this team to a guy coming from a place like Texas Tech?
It was very hard to get acclimated. I had to learn a difficult playbook within a matter of a month, but the team welcomed me in with open arms. One of my best friends I grew up with, Jared West, he was a big part of the reason I came here, so it was good.
you kind of step into a role now with Jazz Ferguson's gone. You lost 3 other senior receivers. How much has your leadership, whether it's skill or whether it's leadership style, evolved in the last 6 to 8 months?
Yeah, losing Jazz and Jalen Watson and Red Dog, Marquesian Chapman. I'm sorry. It's been hard, but I've accepted this leadership role, and I think I'm doing a pretty good job at it. And these young guys, they're embracing it, and they're taking in coaching. And as a unit, we look very good these first 7 days of camp, so it's going to be good.
Is it kind of a foreign feeling to be the older guy in the room now?
Yeah, it actually is. And I'm actually having my first child soon, so I really feel like I'm old. I'm getting old.
Quan, you also came here with a love for baseball.
Mm-hmm.
So how many baseball games did you get out to last spring? And while we all know you'll be prepping for the NFL draft next year, how much of your heart is tugging, saying, maybe I could get out there and take a few swings with Coach Barbier and the boys?
That's actually crazy you asked that because, yeah, baseball is my first love, and I wished I never quit. But I went to a lot of games last spring because I have good friends on the team like Lenny, JP LaGreco. So I've caught a lot of games. Well, not a lot, but I was out there supporting.
And watching, do you really feel like, hey, if I had the opportunity, I could go out there?
Probably not anymore. Nah, I probably lost the stick, but I probably still got there, steal some bases or something.
Memo to Coach Barbier.
We'll take some of Quan's height and give it to Lenny. All right.
Good.
Jared West from New Orleans, Louisiana, play running back.
Jared, kind of the same thing. You're in a lot of ways in a similar situation to Quan. Now you're the guy that's been here a long time. You're the elder statesman of that group. Similar to him, how has your leadership style evolved in your time here?
When I first got here, I wanted to learn under DeMar Lorenz, a guy who took the same path that I took from walk-on to becoming a starting running back. And I recently called him and asked him, going into your senior year, what was something that you wanted to, work on, and as far as being the catalyst for the older guys, for the younger guys, what was a couple tips, and he told me just, stay the course. Things not gonna always go your way, and then you got guys under you that's looking up to you. So just always make sure that you be setting that example, of being that good leader for other guys. That's something I've just been trying to do, as far as just for the whole team. Also,
some of those younger guys in the running back group there, Stafford Anderson, Curtis Williams, some of those other guys kind of shown you anything so far in camp, guys, that you've really seen improve?
Definitely. All our guys are all ready to go. We all hold ourselves to a high standard. And we just want to make sure that we're the most stable group that's on the team. The rest of the team might not agree with that, but, at the end of the day, it's all about competition, and we want to be, the best that we're possibly able to be.
And we talked to the offensive lineman about their bond, but how nice is it for you as a running back to run behind such a veteran line that seems to work very, very well together?
Oh, it's lovely. It's lovely. Running behind Chris and Hub and Burns and Rapp is lovely. Just running behind people that you could trust. That's the main thing that coach has been talking about, is just trusting the guy next to you, and that's the main thing that we have to have as running backs, trusting that the O-lineman can work up to those linebackers and open those big holes for us to run through. It's all about trust.
Jay West, I saw you and your family graduation night, hearing the statistics that Coach Laird recited about this senior class and how you guys have achieved academically. Mm-hmm. Is that coincidence, or is there some sort of peer pride that you guys lift each other up? What? Talk about the academic side of this football team, and particularly your class.
Like Coach Laird says, you can't just be great at one thing. You got to be great at everything. So as great as we want to be on the football field, we also have to be great in the classroom as well. So, when you see somebody else having a great amount of success on both, you want to be like, oh, I want to do the same thing as him. So when you see somebody getting A's in tests, getting 4.0, it's just, it all becomes that common standard and that goal that he's doing it, why can't I? So that just uplifts everybody else when somebody else is doing well.
Okay, on an entirely different vein, Bernsey dubbed Hub as the best dressed guy on the team. What's the truth?
I'm gonna give it to Hub. Humbly speaking, I'm gonna give it to Hub. But I think we're gonna have to review that, to be honest. But
Where do you fit in on that chain?
Top two at least. Top two.
All right, thanks, Jared.
All right, thank you.
Hello, hello. I'm Chris Urkel. I'm from League City, and I play offensive line.
Okay, first question, how you feeling today?
I'm okay. I don't know if y'all know, I cramped up. I got IV'd. My first one he missed, so I'm a little sore in my bicep. But I got stuck here, so I'm all good now. I just got a bag, so it's okay. Not 2 bags this time.
Well, Jared just touched on it, and with Doug's question about the academic side, you have been honored seemingly as much off the field as you have on. You've had a great career both sides. How much pride do you take in being, that leader off the field, going to Orlando for the NCAA Leadership Conference, being nominated for the AFCA Good Works team? What does that mean to you?
I mean, honestly, if I could get rid of all my accolades I've received and got a ring and win as a team, I'd do it 100%. Yeah, it's nice to get all those accolades, but this lasts forever. This will last forever. My accolades, I'll be blown away probably by another guy coming up for sure.
Kind of touch on it again. You, as the fifth-year guy, or as a fifth-year guy in that offensive line room, if you would, just comment on kind of what we've talked about with all the linemen, the camaraderie there, and do you think that kind of permeates the entire team?
Oh, 100%. Everyone looks at us as the goofballs, but we have that switch. Playing with Hub forever, Rap, Burns, it's awesome. Literally 4, 3, 5 years together. That's something you don't find on every team. And, we elevate other position groups, say like the DBs not point, or the receivers, say someone has a bad day, our personalities will elevate them and we'll bring them to our level. And it's vice versa. Sometimes, O-line, we have our bad days. And then the receivers, special teams, punters, all that, they'll come help us out.
Attention to detail and consistency, something Coach Laird has hammered on. Assess, if you would, this team's ability to pay attention to details, to do the little things so far through the first week and a half of camp.
Really consistent, honestly. I'd like to rewind back to 2 years ago, we were meeting at 6 a.m. We didn't do that this year when we came back from Christmas break, so that's nice. So that's one step ahead right there. But to touch up on camp, really, we preach steps, anything like that. Don't miss any. Not really. We have, these young guys missing weigh-ins and stuff like that. But really, we've taken a big step from last year for sure.
Recycling to save the environment on questions. What would today's Chris Circle say to newcomer Chris Circle?
Ice bath after practice, 100%. And listen to your coaches and don't be afraid to take charge. Young, old, doesn't matter. That's one thing I would try to help when I leave is encourage these younger guys to step up. You don't have to be a senior, junior, sophomore to lead.
Trying to stay green in my questioning. You've been up, you've been down. What's it take for this team to be a championship team?
So Coach Laird said probably a couple days ago that better teams beat better talented teams. That's one thing I believe we have. This giant senior class, 21, that's a pretty big senior class. We all have that bond together. And we need to maintain it, but we also need to push each other as well. Yes, we have 21 seniors, whoop-de-doo, but we need to maintain that and just keep everyone on board, keep pulling the younger guys.
All right, your journey, obviously, you got the red shirt of the new year under the new rule last year. How confident were you when you stepped on the field with 4 games left that you were going to play to the level you wanted to? And at least from grades and production, it looked like you played the best football of your career.
Well, I don't know if anyone knows this, but I think my second practice back when I was live, I got IV'd. I cramped up again. But, I was a little rusty, not to lie. But, I appreciate Coach Laird and Coach Smiley, that offensive staff, welcoming me back. I just really wanted to contribute, watching 7 games, tough 7 games to watch. But, I really appreciate them, letting me back in, and I was just really trying to win.
And what did that being on the sidelines and watching in that perspective do for you?
It helped me understand players from a different perspective. Like, I get they're all tired and coaches are on them and all that. But a leadership style, I like to relate to every single person on the team. Not everyone likes to get yelled at and things like that. So really just watching, sitting back, learning people's personalities and all that, I try to just kind of adapt to their level and then just help them, encourage them. Appreciate y'all. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. And I know we had 10 speak that they chose to speak, but there's 13 other ones right there that have done a great job. I can tell you, you can just tell listening to them speak what it says about that senior class. At this time, senior class, y'all going to be dismissed to go get dressed for pictures. At this time, to talk offensively, I talked about the coaching staff being consistent. And at this time, to talk from an offensive perspective, offensive coordinator Brad Smiley.
Thanks, Coach. I guess first thing that comes to mind, really just thinking back a year ago at this time when it was this day, was just what a difference a year makes. Honestly, to have, if you look at the roster, I sat down there, I started counting. There's 22 guys on this offense that lettered for us last year that are back. There's 11 guys. I know with the official, when they got to have this many games, we got 11 guys on offense that started ball games for us, and we added 8 transfers that started at previous universities and played college football. So we've got 30 guys that have played college football, 22 here, and 11 that have started ball games. So I think when you first hit the meeting rooms and you're looking at these offensive guys and seeing these big numbers and big groups of guys that have there's a lot of experience. There's a lot of experience, a lot of mature leadership. I think the leadership that these guys have shown on the offensive side of the ball to me has been paramount compared to what we had last year. And every group's got it. Every group's got great competition. Everybody's, within the groups, within the positions. It's been a battle every day, and going against a defense that I think's got a chance to be really special as well. I mean, every day it's these guys got to come to work every day, and they really have embraced the opportunity to go out and go to work. Last year I don't feel like we had it was tough to get them to understand how we wanted them to play the game, the tempo we wanted to play with, and being physical and doing those things. And this year's group, they've just fallen right into it from day one. It's shorts and helmets. We got guys flying around full speed, working without the ball in their hands. 10 guys working for the one that's got it, and it's been a lot of fun to see so far. So within each position, again, getting a chance to see a Shelton Epler. Obviously I've seen Shelton grow up. It's my 4th year with him. It's a lot of fun. He's come a long way, and he has such a grasp mentally of what we're trying to get accomplished, and hey, the cat's out there doing some things, just mentally, not just accuracy and with the ball and things like that, but some of the stuff that he's seeing and being able to change some things around and puts us in a great situation. It's been a lot of fun, getting a chance to see Quan Shorts where he is today. Man, Quan last year, he was clueless. Bryson Bork told him what to do on every play. Literally for the first 6 games, I swear, Bork told him what to do every play. He's whispering in his ear. We couldn't go as fast as we wanted to go because of that. And now Quan's that guy. Quan is the guy he's barking and ordering the guys around, and he's telling them what to do. He's got all the answers. It's just a lot of fun. Jonathan Hubbard, watching where he was last year, just trying to figure things out. And Dustin Burns now, man, these guys are just rock solid 5th-year seniors. They know what to do. They know how to work. They know what you're expecting of them, and they know how to get after it. So, Jared, same thing. It's these guys have come a long way. It's a big difference from where we are, right now going into this season and 7 days in fall camp than where we were last year. So, it's hard not to be excited because those guys are excited. You see the confidence on them. You hear the confidence from them. And we know it's going to be a lot of fun because we've added some great talent to the mix. It's competitive, and these guys are working hard. So how could you not be fired up about that?
Coach Laird mentioned that the entire coaching staff's back together. You're here for another year. How much does it help you as an offensive coordinator, and probably the same thing for Coach Lucas, to know that your position coaches are the same and you've worked together? You've already built a little bit of a bond. You don't have to really go back and say this is what I like and learn what other guys like. Does that help you guys as much as it helps the players, or even more?
I would probably say even more, or just as much. I mean, it really it starts with the vision that Coach Laird has for this program, and day one, what he lays down, and the culture that's been built, and the standards that have been set. and what we're going to do and how we're going to do it each and every day. So when you go into a second year, there's nobody's having to figure anybody out. I'm not having to ask Coach, hey, what did you mean when you say this, or what do you want here and what do you want there? And Mike the same way, and as that filters down to our staff, it's the same way. You know, having a relationship with, you know, an offensive line coach. This is year 9 that Coach Pond and I have been together. I mean, we know what that is. Selfo, I've known him for a long time, but having the opportunity to go into year 2 with Slaughter, same thing, year 2. I mean, it's Gerald House. I mean, the whole guys, the expectations, we know what we want. They know what I'm looking for. Again, it's just like the team. It's just like the players. They now have it all figured out. Well, hey, this is what we're looking for in this situation. This is what we expect in this situation. So everybody's much more comfortable to bring their ideas to the table. And, I mean, every day we're trying to get better and we're trying to improve as coaches. So we're on the board and we're, hey, what if we did this and what if we did that? Having the carryover with the guys and the team, not having to just learn it from the get-go, but everybody understands it. You know, it's easier moving forward because there's a comfort level for what we're doing and we know what's expected. And again, it starts at the top. I mean, we know what's expected as us as assistant coaches. We know what our roles are. We know what our jobs are. There's no figuring out and get to know me period, which is, again, where we were last year. So another instance of, hey, what a difference a year makes.
Sheldon had such a good year statistically last year. Then you add Bryce Rivers in the offseason as a transfer from UTSA. At Trinity Valley, you used to play a couple of quarterbacks a game. How much do you think that system and having worked with that helped him kind of accept that challenge of Bryce coming in and up his game?
Well, I think that, you know, really I'm a firm believer in everybody's out here working and everybody, I mean, if you're working extremely hard, you're giving great effort, you got a great attitude, you know what to do, you deserve to play. That's my thought process straight off the bat. So I love to play a lot of people. I wish we could have played a lot more receivers last year. You know, we just felt like there was a drop-off from 1s to the 2s that we really couldn't. So we couldn't go as fast as we wanted because we had to take care of those guys some. So, you know, I don't think there's any different when you bring new people into the mix. Again, day one, we tell them exactly what's expected. Here's our offensive must. This is what we must do. This is how we're going to win a championship this year. This is how we're going to be who we are. So, you know, if you go out and give great effort, great attitude, you know what to do, we trust you, we're going to put you on the field. Now, after that, it's up to you, especially with the new redshirt rule. This is a blessing because we get some guys out there, and then it's up to them, you know, and their production when they get those opportunities and what they do with it from then on out. So, really, I think just my mindset, I want to play a ton of people. I want to play a lot of people. I'm not a firm believer in, hey, you go hit a knee and hope this guy gets hurt just so you can get a rep. You know, I want to have 11, 12 guys catching passes. We want to have 10, 11 different receivers scoring touchdowns. We want to play 3, 4 tight ends. We should play 3, 4 running backs. Those guys should all get in the zone. They should catch passes. You know, last year we were the only team in college football Division I. I don't know, between FBS and FCS to have 4 guys throw touchdown passes. All 4 quarterbacks that got starts through touchdowns. So, you know, that's to me what it's all about. We all work hard together. We all come together and do this thing together. So why not? Let's go out there and have fun and get everybody in the mix.
Coach, you mentioned the transfers. When you're presented with the opportunity to get an offensive transfer, what are some of the things that you look for, and how selective are you as far as thinking that someone can fit into your system?
You know, I guess first when you're looking at bringing in talent, I mean, to steal from Bill Parcells, we're in the talent accumulation business. And the more best talent we can load up in here, the competition will sort itself out. So, you know, when we cut on the film, number one thing we're looking for most of the time is going to be speed. How is this guy? How fast is he, and how physical is he? So fast and physical are 2 things we can deal with. Honestly, we feel there's a lot of things that you can train in this game. You can train guys to have. You can train their hands. You can get them better catching the football. You can develop those skill sets. But hey, man, you know, they're either going to bite as a pup. They probably won't bite as a dog. So you know right now when you're watching film, are they going to be physical? Are they going to play fast? You know, when you ask the coaches and you talk to those guys that are around them, when you're talking to transfers, and there's not a guy that we've brought in that somebody on this staff didn't know someone at the previous school that they were at. And those are the questions you ask, man. Tell me about this kid. How does he work? How does he go about his business? And we're not going to bring anybody in here that's not going to work hard. We're not going to bring anybody that's going to be disrespectful. We're not going to bring anybody that's going to do the wrong things, you know, because we don't want to waste our time. We don't want to waste our time because we've got things we got to get taken care of. We got games to win. We got championships to get. So for us, it's about, hey, what is this guy? How does he approach every day? You know, is he, you know, why is he looking to move on? What is he looking for? And a lot of times, just guys are looking for a better opportunity. You know, I think probably day 3, day 4, Coach Slaughter told Akile Davis, he goes, man, what took you so long to leave BYU? You got to be kidding me. I mean, the cat can play. He's really good. Why you're over there catching 5 balls in 4 years? You know what I mean? Heck, you could have been over here catching 70. You know, and that's really the approach. So those guys are looking for opportunities. They're looking for a better fit, whatever that is, whatever those systems are. You know, so those are the things that we look for. Those are the questions that we ask when we talk to the other staff. Just make sure you get a good feel for everything. And then when you talk to the guys and when Coach gets on the phone with them, you know, Coach Laird's got to get a great feel for him and his personality and to find out, does this guy fit what he wants? Does he fit the kind of guys we want in this program?
This is year 2 for you here at Northwestern as OC after 11 at Trinity Valley as head coach. How much does familiarity with the Southland Conference, having been through the loop, even though there are 3 or 4 changes in staffs this year that are going to impact you, how much does the continuity of actually having been through this league once help you in your game planning, play calling?
Well, I think you always, going back and watching games and studying yourself in the off season, really just pay more attention because each week we're going to see different things. Just like we put in some different things offensively, so we're not going to be 100% of what we were last year. So when we go study ourselves and we want to self-scout us, we want to see where our tendencies are. So we got to find who this year's playmakers are, who this year's guys are. So obviously things are going to be different. Last year, I guess I always say your dudes. Who are your dudes last year? Well, our dudes last year were Jazz Ferguson, Jalen Watson. I mean, those guys were dudes. They were 2 of the best in the league. They were 2 of the best in the country, and we knew what those guys could do. And so we had to hang our hat on those guys. Going into this year, honestly, it's about us developing the other guys on the roster in the other positions. And I promise you, another year older at backs, at running back, and having that group back together, we got 2 or 3 guys in there that can be dudes in this league. And we got tight ends that have come in. Aaron Howes moved over to the position. I think he's got a bright future there. Tyler O'Donohue, when I first got here, was hurt, didn't know much about him. He's doing some good things. But those 2 transfers we brought in, they got a chance to be 2 of the best in the league. So, I mean, it's just adding to the, growing up these younger receivers. LeVar Gums taking that step. Jalen Willis taking that step. These younger guys that played last year, Tanner Ash taking that step. And you're just watching it and you're having fun watching them grow up, watching them develop and turn into different people like we talked about earlier with Quan. So, really that's what it's all about. So for us, it's we're worried about us. And then when game week hits, here's what we're going to see. Here's the fronts. Here's the coverages. Make sure we get it blocked. If they bring this blitz, all those little things, we'll work ourselves out. But, this is a great league. I've always loved the league. Grew up watching it. It's what brought me back. So just knowing the Southland's going to have great players and great coaches. Every week's going to be in a battle. It's going to be a 4-quarter game. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Thank you, Coach Smiley. And again, I didn't say this earlier. The excitement that you hear not only from our coaches but our players, but for me to have 2 head coaches on my staff that I was able to hire last year and to be able to keep them has been huge. With Coach Smiley as the offense coordinator, and then next, Coach Mike Lucas, who's very familiar with this conference, being a head coach for 6 years at Southeastern, won a conference championship there, and also as a defense coordinator at Sam Houston. To talk about the defense, Coach Mike Lucas.
Means so much to me to work for a man like Brad Laird. Bradley gives us great leadership, great direction, loves his players, loves his coaches, takes care of us like family. And we're all part of this Demon family. That man bleeds purple and gives everything he's got to this program. And that's evident by what he's had to do, like things like this summer with our kids in summer school and making availability for them to all be here working out together. The leadership Brad gives us is outstanding, and I appreciate it. This is year 38 for me. I've seen a lot of media days. Number 25 in the Southland Conference. I used to back in the day when we get they'd have the conference media day, and you get everybody's media guides, and I'd run around and pick up everybody's media guides and then run back to the table, and I would sit there and count how many seniors everybody had, because it was directly proportional to the number of seniors you had to who was first or second in the league. Every year, the team with the most seniors was going to win it. Folks, I'm sitting at that table right there. Roxanne's sitting across from me. She probably thinks I'm crazy. I sat there crying like a baby during the whole thing. Tears running down my face. I'm looking at these seniors over here. We got guys that I recruited here when I was here in 2014 that have graduated. I sat down with Bryce Borgenson in May. He's graduating. I said, Bryce, I understand, man, you got a year eligibility left, but if you don't want to come back and you want to go start your career, he sat in my office, started to cry. He said, Coach, I want to see this thing through. We're going to win the championship this year. I believe it. That's the kind of guys we got sitting over. I'm looking at Chris Zirkle, came off surgery. I'm looking at Desmond Prejean coming off surgery. I'm looking at guys like O'Shea Jackson, who have had such a rough time in college football, been to 3 different places, bounced around. Achille Davis, grad transfer, that is outstanding. I'm looking at a young man that's only been here a week, Isaiah Armstrong, who's a heck of a corner coming from BYU. That senior group's got some folks in it with some attitude and some want to and some, I think they're focused, really focused. So when I think of 38 years doing this thing and not knowing how many I got left, how many opportunities in a game that I love so much, how many times am I going to be able to line up again with a senior class like this with an opportunity to go win it? We got to have a sense of urgency, and that's what I'm preaching. That's why my defensive guys right now, hey, Coach, man, you're a lot more active on the sideline you were last year. So during camp, man, you're right. I've been up every morning at 5:30 when they open the rack. I'm standing there working out, getting ready for this season because it's going to be special, and I don't want to miss it. So, up front, O'Shea Jackson, Damian Thompson. We got some guys that can get up the field and get after it. They got some warrior attitudes. We've added transfer Darius Whitfield, Nathan and I coming up as a sophomore. We've added a couple other transfers to that mix. Tyrus Butler that we just added 2 days ago, 350-pounder. We got some guys that can pound and get up the field. That's what we need. We got to be physical up front. Coach Liddell Love does a great job with those guys. At outside linebacker, Coach Jake Olson's got a stable of guys. Jamard Valzin as a sophomore should be a real hammer coming off of that edge. Backed up by Landon King. Both those guys can play. The weak side outside linebacker with Kyle Moore and Quinn Whitley. Got some players for Coach Olson to work with, some playmakers. At the inside linebacker, the guys that I'm working with Bryce Borgenson, fifth-year senior, Isaiah Longino, who's matured so much, come such a long way maturity-wise. But then we've added some transfers to that with a transfer from Texas Tech, Jaquay Pogue, and the first-team inside linebacker, first-team all-conference from the Texas JUCO League. It's hard in the Texas JUCO League to make first-team all-conference. And Adrian Robertson, you watch that dude out there playing right now, he can roll. So we got 4 linebackers I feel really, really good about. And then all those seniors, how many of those seniors stood up and said, defensive back, defensive back, defensive back? We got some guys in the back end now, great competition going on. And our two starting corners might be true sophomores. Both guys that we put the stopwatch on them, both Shamar Bartholomew and William Hooper can run 4.4, and that's what we need out there at the corner position. And Coach Lockett does a great job with those guys. So am I excited? Yes, I'm very, very excited. You know what else I'm excited about? I watched Shelton Epler play high school football at Navasota and win a state championship. I saw him play at Trinity Valley and win a championship. I'm excited about Shelton Epler, and I'm the defensive coordinator. I'm excited about Jonathan Hubbard. You watch how hard he's worked as offensive tackle. He went running down the sideline the other day, and I said, who's that wide receiver running down the field? It was Hubbard running down the field. He's passing wide receivers. The dude can run. We've got some guys on both sides of the football that really believe in Coach Laird and believe in the direction of this program and what we're doing. And I am very excited to get lined up against Tennessee Martin, and let's get this thing rolling.
Yeah, no kidding. Coach, you mentioned the sense of urgency and getting ready for this year. You changed a little bit of scheme, and again, scheme, when you do that, attention to detail is very important. It's been touched on a couple of times here. From your defensive side, an improvement on that from over last year?
Yes, sir. You know, when you look at our personnel, I think it's very important as a coach, no matter what side of the ball you're on, to look at your people, and instead of making the people fit into a scheme, let's make your scheme fit your people. And what we're seeing, so many spread offenses in our league, and everybody's going fast and spread, I think the 3-4 is the direction to go. I think it gives you more opportunities for pressure. I think nowadays in college football that tackles for losses and sacks and getting people behind the sticks are critical to your success. And I think the 3-4 alignment and the personnel that we have right now to be in a 3-4 gives us more opportunities to get after people and put them behind the sticks.
How far has O'Shea come? You mentioned him, and you work with the linebackers, but you obviously see him. For a guy that arrived here less than a week before you played A&M, the strides he's made in 350-something days.
See, I knew O'Shea when he was playing, and I was recruiting him when he was at Trinity Valley. So I've known O'Shea a long time, and he's been through a lot. You know, at Colorado State and then back and then signing with SMU, and then SMU calling him and saying, wait a minute, we oversigned, and he had nowhere to go. And here he found a home. He was so thankful to have this as a home. And when he got here, as a stranger to the team, because everybody else had been through camp already, and he showed up right before, and then we throw him in, and we're playing him right off the bat. And now everybody, O'Shea walks around. He says he doesn't talk much, but he smiles all the time. And the guys respect him because of his work ethic. They respect him because of his ability. And he's been through a lot of things personally and has matured through them and grown through them, and I'm excited to see what he can do for his senior year.
Recycling again. 38 years of coaching. What would Mike Lucas say to young GA Mike Lucas?
Invest in Rogaine. I don't know, just to enjoy every minute. You know, Doug, I look back, been through a lot of coaches, a lot of players. I've put my family through a lot because I put everything I got into it. And I think if I was to look back and tell young Mike Lucas, man, don't take anything for granted because you don't know how many you're going to have. Now, when I'm on the other end counting them down, you know, how many are you going to have? How many opportunities for your kids to be on the sideline with you? You know, my boys are now up north. Just had a new grandson this week. And Pop's got to hold on to let that grandson see me coach. You know, we're going to hold on. We're going to be working out. We're going to be eating that grass-fed beef and drinking that almond milk and hitting that spirulina. You know, we're going to do everything we can to get as many years as we can right here. So you never know how many you got. Love every minute of it.
25 years in the Southland Conference. You've been part of championship programs. Recycling. What's it take for this program this year to make that leap?
Man, we got to be consistent. You know, I think the league right now has so much parity. I don't think there's that great team like there has been in the past. I think there's parity. I think we've got to line up because you never know. I remember playing, when I was at Sam playing Northwestern in Huntsville, and it was the first conference game of the season. And I said to my guys, I said, listen, guys, this team might be the best team in the league that we're playing against. And this game right now, even though it's the first conference game in September, may be the championship game. And it was. We finished first, and y'all were second. We beat you that year in Huntsville. We've got to take every game. We don't know which one it's going to be. Is it the Southeastern game? Is it the Nichols game? Is it the Sam game? We got to play every game like that game is the championship game. And that's what we got to do. And I think if we do that, we got a chance to be there at the end.
Coach, when when some of the players were talking, I noticed both you and Coach Smiley were nodding your head in agreement when some of the players would talk about things like consistency or discipline or leadership. Looking at your faces, it was like you recognize that the things that you've been teaching them and preaching to them have sunk in, and for you to hear them articulate it back. As a coach, I'm guessing that you're taking a lot of pride in that, both you and Coach Smiley, and I'm sure Coach Laird, when you hear players articulate things that you have tried to instill in them?
Every player, when they come in, they'll be at a different level of maturity when they come to you. And, you know, to be able to coach every young man differently and see what he needs. You know, we got 105 guys on the team. You got to have 105 different methods of motivation. And to hear some of those guys came in and were knuckleheads. And some of them came in and were very mature. But to hear them and the growth and the maturity and to hear them all say the same thing. And, you know, again, that comes to what Coach Laird, the leadership he gives, and, you know, the key words and the phrases and the verses and the hammering on them. It's a constant battle in today's society with Twitter and all that junk that they get fed. We're in a battle. We're in a battle trying to win their hearts because there's other people on the other side of the line battling to take their hearts in another direction. And that's part of being a successful coach today, no matter if you're coaching soccer or volleyball or basketball or football. You got to win their hearts and keep them away from the dark side because there's so many things tugging at them. And to hear those guys say the same things that we're saying as a coaching staff is rewarding. Thank you.
Thank you, Coach Lucas. I think that reiterates what I said at the beginning of this after you've heard our players and you've heard our coaches. The excitement that we have because of the things that we see them do on a day-to-day basis. They're going to be the same if there's 10 people here and no media or playing against LSU and there's 90,000. It doesn't matter. That's what these guys have done. They've been the same day in and day out, and that's what gets us excited about this season. So we're looking forward to it. You know, one group, I know Jason had mentioned Doug Ireland, but also the Demon Sports Network. Patrick Netherton with the play-by-play, Tony Tagliavore with the sideline, and Davey Antelli in the back who puts it all together and make them look good. So really appreciate what they do. You know, not just each and every Saturday night. It's just like our team, the preparation that they going into it. So really appreciate them. Looking forward to the 2019 football season. Thank you very much.